Let's take you then back live to the burial center, and that's where we will find our two reporters and our political editor, Vuyo Mzwandile Mbeje and Vuyo Mvoko. Good evening to you both. I'm sure that you've had a lot that you've been witnessing, a lot of people to see. We were just sharing with our viewers a picture of Ace Magashule and President Cyril Ramaphosa. A moment, I wonder what you're hearing on the sidelines, a moment of softer words and reconciliation, hopefully?
Well, Iman, in fact, right behind us, the last remaining people, in fact, represent the ANC in all its contradictions. You have, as the last man standing, the suspended ANC Secretary General Ace Magashule, and right next to him, the gentleman is speaking to now, Faisal Motleka. Faisal is owed millions of rands by the ANC. In fact, he got a court order not too long ago where he's supposed to attach the property, Luthuli House and everything that's in there. I think the money he's owed runs into over 100 million, actually. And with them is, of course, Supra Mahumapilo, who only the other day was leading a march outside Luthuli House demanding the suspension or expulsion even of ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa. And they are the last people who remain here. Everyone else is gone, except, of course, for the people who are busy cleaning up, dismantling the tent, and so on. Zwandile, it's been a long day. And of course, apart from the fact that people were coming to pay tributes to Jesse Duarte, the day also represented in so many ways, it again reminded us, of the state that the ANC is in.
Vuyo, as I was sitting watching, as I was reflecting myself as a journalist, I'm saying, I actually think this is what the ANC has been fighting for all this past 5 years, just to get all these people to unite. Jessie Duarte, in her death, managed to get all these people to sit and just sing from the same hymn sheet. That is the message that President Ramaphosa and even the grouping that we've just spoken about have been saying, to say they are looking for the unity of the ANC. So we saw it happen here today, only if it's for a few hours.
In fact, Iman was saying, was talking about that picture, of Cyril Ramaphosa and Ace Magashule that everyone, in fact, has been talking about the whole afternoon. And linked to that was Gwede Mandashe saying to Ace Magashule, "We've suspended you. You are the suspended one." Yeah. And everyone was laughing about it.
Indeed. It may have been in jest, but I think deep down they realize that what is it that's stopping them from truly uniting? If there is one figure that is Jesse Duarte who is able to bring them together in this fashion. Because, you speak to all sides, they are all convinced that she was the true servant of their movement. So they believed in what she was doing. But here is the question. If then they did believe in what she pursued, why were they not following it? Because somehow, or is it a case of interpretations differently? So someone thinks she thought it is this way when someone else thought it is the other way. So you also had the message, Vuyo, from the very president who said, so this is the moment for unity. But I'm afraid, given that we are 5 months away from the elective conference of the ANC, it may be a bit too late. Did you see the guidelines of who should contest? Others are basically saying they are meant to exclude someone like the suspended Secretary General. So all those things.
Interestingly, I asked him earlier while we were standing there, so what do you do, these days? How do you spend your time? He says, I'm mobilizing, I am on the ground. I'm crisscrossing the country. So that should tell you that someone is really up to something. I asked him whether he's going to the policy conference. He said, no, he's not sure because he's too busy preparing for December. He says, in December, I will certainly be there. Nothing is going to stop me from being there in December. Those were his words.
His hope, as he says, he's mobilizing. Remember, right now, the NEC is the highest decision-making body, but the emphasis in between the conferences. If, for example, the national conference in December decides, no, this step-aside rule is not okay, we need our Secretary General back, so those people have the power to do that. If indeed he is mobilizing and he is successful to get the branches to believe in what he is saying, so he certainly will be there. I'm not sure on the current balance of evidence if it's going the direction.
Well, I mean, it's interesting you're saying that matter will, in all likelihood, only arise in December. And here's why I'm saying this. Remember that when the ANC had its conference at Tax, ahead of Polokwane, former President Jacob Zuma, who was the deputy president at the time, had been removed from cabinet, you'll recall. Phumzile Mlambo Ngcuka was the deputy president. But not only that, President Mbeki had also, he had also been, though he was deputy president, but he wouldn't deputize for Thabo Mbeki, for example. If an ANC structure invited the president couldn't make it, it would be Kgalema Motlanthe, who was Secretary General, or someone, or a Musiwa Lekota, who would then go there. Now, why am I raising this? It's because at Tax, a decision was taken to reinstate the powers of the ANC deputy president, even though that was not the place to do it. But because the conference risked collapsing on that matter, then they decided to entertain it. To cut a long story short, even though it was not the place to do it, but it happened. So I'm saying, what are the chances then of the step-aside rule being discussed at the policy conference, actually, and people forcing a decision ahead of the December conference, so that by the time you get to the December conference, people like Ace Magashule are able to participate?
I think one of the first indications that will tell us exactly what will happen on this on this step-aside rule will be the conference Vuyo in the next 4 days from now, the one in KZN. Remember, one of the contestants there is Zandile Kumete, who's very, very powerful, who's just recently won the chairpersonship of eThekwini. So those who are backing her feel she's not able to discharge her responsibilities because of the step-aside rule. She actually, in one of the many slates that are doing the rounds in KZN, is actually part of them. So for them to be able to get her to be able to discharge her responsibilities, this issue is certainly going to be entertained. So if, for example, they are able, her slate, let's say, wins, or they are able to get enough backing. So remember, KZN is the biggest province of the ANC, but of course we know it's also divided. But it will be interesting to see how they will raise this issue, because there is practical evidence that there is someone they want, but this is hindering them. And you know, as much as in Limpopo, the province backed hugely the current president, yes, there were those voices which said, we need to discuss this thing. So if the groundwork is being done sufficiently, you are likely to see it. In fact, you've spoken about the conferences collapsing. We have seen a conference in Gauteng taking 2 weeks. Have you ever seen that? Because they couldn't agree on certain things. That issue at the policy conference, I see it really dragging this conference. So how the ANC has managed to perhaps deal with those things would be very interesting to watch for you.
Let's leave it there. Mzwandile Mbeje, our political editor, talking all matters ANC, of course. ANC matters, ANC contradictions, everything ANC was in full display at this service today. Again, on Thursday, the ANC says it'll have that memorial service. Iman, we're told that they are looking at the University of Johannesburg as a venue, but details will be made available. In fact, Pule Mabe was telling us earlier that on Tuesday they'll be having a briefing where they will give the details of what is going to happen come Thursday. From ANC Deputy Secretary General's resting place, from me, Mzwandile Mbeje, and the rest of the team, it's a wrap. Back to you.
Thank you very much for that formidable coverage, Vuyo, to you and to the entire team. Sun setting there in Johannesburg over, as Vuyo said, the final resting place of Jesse Duarte. It has been an intense and emotional day, no doubt, for the family, with the passing in the early hours in the morning, springing into action by both provincial authorities and the family to make this funeral take place. You know, to the many tributes and the eulogy that we heard paying tribute to her life and her legacy.